Welcome, everyone, to the Warriors in Business podcast. Today, we are honored and privileged to be joined by Sherm Porter. Sherm is a military veteran and an entrepreneur, and we are so excited to spend some time with him today to talk about his service history and along with how he got into all the businesses he is currently running. So, Sherm, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah, how you doing, man? Thank you for having me on. This is awesome.
Absolutely. No, we're glad to have you. And I'm also joined by my co-host, Todd. Todd, how are you over there?
Doing fantastic. Very much looking forward to this interview. And when we were doing a little pregame before this, having some fun with Sherm, I'm very interested in getting this going because he's a fun guy. So this is going to be a fun podcast.
Well, let's hope. I like to keep it, real and fun and answer any questions you have. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about us helping each other, whether we're veterans or whether we're business owner and veterans. Helping each other make sure
exactly.
that we don't jump into those potholes. So
absolutely.
Yeah, let's get it going.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, first and foremost, Sherm, we want to thank you for your service to our country, for the sacrifice you have made on behalf of all of us to keep our country and our communities safe and free. So
yes,
first and foremost, we want to acknowledge you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. I thank you. And when everybody says that, it feels like this big, huge, like you're handing me this big, huge medal. And I'm a third generation Navy guy, so it wasn't as heroic as you would think that I joined. It was more of a natural progression between my grandfather, my father, and myself. So
yeah,
but I still I loved every minute of it, and I appreciate it. And when you do something for a larger cause than yourself, it's a lot. It's really rewarding. So
we do appreciate you, Sherm. We really do.
We do. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Well, with that said, Sherm, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your service history and then how that led into you becoming an entrepreneur?
So everything I've done in my life has a little story to it, and it's kind of crazy. And you guys talked about, well, we might not get to 20 minutes. Well, we're gonna get to 20 minutes. I don't have to worry about that. But so the Navy was a calling after I didn't know what else to do. I was in college. I had a son in high school. I'm one of those forward thinkers. Like, I like to get shit started early. So I was 17 with a son. I was in college. I had a son. I was working in the restaurant business, making a ton of money, going to school, and I just kind of looked around and I'm like, it just felt empty. And my dad was in the Navy. He was in Vietnam. My grandfather was in World War II and the wooden ships, and I was like, well, maybe this will be something that'll get me, on track. Maybe, get my life, like, instead of going to school, partying and raising a child in the party lifestyle, maybe I should try to, square myself away a little bit and get my things together. So I joined the Navy. Like most guys, like, you see the SEALs and all that kind of stuff, and I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was something I could, go down the stream to do, and my job was an operational specialty, which falls into that category.
Okay.
So I left that into that the ability to be able to do that. So I got in, I went to A school, finished first in my class, picked any ship I wanted in the world, picked the USS Mount Whitney, which is a building on a port. We don't go out that much, but it gave me a lot of opportunity because I was around a lot of high-ranking, influential people. We had a 2-star admiral. Then our captain was a full bird. There's another 1-star, a lot of birds, a lot of, you had a lot of brass on our ship, and with that means you got to have a lot of opportunity. So I was the next step, like getting to BUD/S, was, being a search and rescue swimmer, like testing your swimming skills and all that kind of stuff. And I went and did that and became that. And then I was on the SWAT team for the ship, and I was a 50 cal gunman captain. So I did all the things like to get me down that path of going to SEALs and then to BUD/S. And then I had a second baby with my first wife, and she just didn't like me going out to sea, and she didn't like me leaving. And obviously BUD/S is like 2 years out in California, and I had to make a decision. And
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's do I have a second child and be, and be an absent parent twice, or do you try to make this work? My captain, he pleaded with me like for hours, um, to say, look, if she's already telling you she's gonna leave, she's gonna leave. Like you going home isn't going to do anything. You're a great soldier. We'll send you to OCS. We'll make you an officer. Then you can go to BUDS, and you'll have the career and a great foundation for your kids. And I was like, yeah, but I really want to try to make this family thing work. That was the purpose of joining the Navy, is that, like try to be the family entity and not be all over the place drinking and
Right.
partying and all that kind of stuff. So long story short is I got out, she left, and that was that. He was 100% right. But you have to, you pick your choices. But
That's
I
right.
loved the Navy. I loved it. I loved being on a boat out to sea as little as we did. I loved the training with the search and rescue, my search and rescue team, and the people on the base. We were there twice a week in the pool and running and training for missions and stuff like that when people fell, went overboard and things like that. So I loved it. I loved it. Also, like I had mentioned earlier, I loved being a part of something larger than me, larger than us. It was like a huge commitment that you're making to the country, to saying that you're going to protect everyone at all times for the things we believe in. And it was awesome to be able to be a part of that. So
Yeah.
Hey, so
um,
just a quick thing, Sherm, real quick.
yeah.
Sorry, Jordan, didn't mean to interrupt you,
Nah,
but
go ahead, interrupt.
you had this watershed moment, which was you had a decision to make. Go home and make the family, do your best to make the family work versus staying in the service and having a longer career of something you love. And that was a big decision, and that's an honorable decision. And then you go home and you do that, and then you face adversity, i.e., you mentioned it didn't work. And that's got to be gut wrenching, because you believe that was the best decision for you and your family, and then that happened. And so, how did you handle that? That's a big adversity and challenge in life. So all of a sudden, you're in this spot, in this moment in life where you thought you did the right thing, and it was the right thing, because it led you down to where you are today. But all of a sudden, you're in this situation. How did you actually overcome that adversity? And then all of a sudden, you're somehow leading up to how you became a business owner. In fact, you have multiple businesses. So that's fascinating to me, and I think a lot of people in the audience will actually identify and understand that. So we'd love to hear that kind of transition. How'd you react to that? What'd you do, and how'd you keep going, and all of a sudden become a business owner?
So when I got out, I didn't have much of a plan, but I had a small plan. My small plan was, I had one of the guys that was in my group, was him, his wife, and his cousin were doing had a small commercial cleaning company. They had a franchise that they had bought, and he was doing like 50 grand a year part time. And I was like, and all you do in the Navy is clean. Like, we're stripping and waxing floors all the time. One coat. You paint the stuff. It's one coat for dust, two coats for rust.
Did they tell you that when you got recruited, by the way? I'm just curious.
Well,
Did
of course they don't tell you that when they get recruited.
I just had to ask.
Yeah, nah, come on. They can't tell you the glamorous dusting and stripping and waxing and cleaning toilets all day. I mean, who wants to hear that shit? It's shooting up, I'm a patriot. It's not cleaning.
With the
but
toilet brush?
yeah,
I can see the
with
toilet brush holding
toilet
up.
brush
I'm a
flying
patriot.
around, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's just part of, everything has to get done, and it's not like the military has a cleaning company that comes in and takes care of the ship for us. But yeah, so he had a commercial cleaning company, and I had looked into it. I had looked into I actually looked into two things. I looked into a Chick-fil-A franchise, and I looked into the cleaning franchise. There was a fortune book on the ship, and we were looking through, and when I got back home, when I drove back up 13 from Virginia to Delaware, I came up with a name for the cleaning company if the Chick-fil-A franchise didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had come out of the food industry to go into the military, I figured, well, this is be a natural transition right back. How hard could it be to do Chick-fil-A? It's, chicken nuggets and a chicken sandwich. Like, it's not that difficult. So I went to our local mall, and they told me that because Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays, they would not I wasn't the first person, and I won't be the last person asked to put a Chick-fil-A in our local mall that was right by my house. And
Yeah.
so that kind of shot that in the foot real quick, and then it was off to the races for the cleaning company. So,
There we go.
so I got it started, and I made some flyers. I figured out like a small game plan of like what things cost. I went into the local store and priced out vacuums and mops and cleaning service stuff. And then because I was looking at a franchise, they had like their models of what things should cost per square footage, like to clean or to strip and wax and that kind of stuff. So I kind of used that model a little bit to price some things out. And um, because of my network of people before I left the military, I had some people. I had got back into serving at one of the restaurants I had worked at in college on the weekends because they needed help, and just to earn a little bit of money while I was figuring it out and getting it started. And um, my my first contract was a nail or a salon where I would go in after the salon closed and sweep and clean up everything, the toilets, the floors, the counters, all that kind of stuff. And then the second one was a private school, and it's because of my network of people. In all actuality, they probably should have never hired me. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the know-how, but the people believed in me as a person and knew that I would figure it out. So,
Yeah. No,
um,
that's interesting. Like you saw the opportunity even with no experience, but yet you know
yeah.
bare
Yeah.
and grinned it, to figure it out.
Well, I
And,
went.
and
Yeah.
by the way, Sherm, I just got to say this. So you went from the choices were it's a great day Chick-fil-A or all right, I gotta figure out how to clean these crappy toilets and make sure that they're spit shine, right?
Well, I already
That's
knew
an
that. I mean,
interesting
but I already
that's an
knew that.
interesting watershed moment in your life.
Yeah.
I just got to
Well,
point that out.
so I'm always one that I don't care what it is as long as I'm making money. You know what I mean? Like, and I've
Yeah,
been like that for a while.
you're an
Um,
opportunity seeker. You
yeah,
seek
like so.
opportunity. There you
Yeah.
go.
If one door shuts, another door opens. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what
One
you're
door
doing.
shuts, the toilet seat opens. I get it. I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, it does. Be careful with the old flip phones. They used to fall in there pretty easily. Um, but yeah, there's Motorola's. But yeah, I just like I didn't take it as I had plan A and plan B. I didn't know how plan A was going to work with Chick-fil-A. It seemed like a pretty cool thing because of how their model works, and I'm not sure if most people know, but that's probably a discussion. It's a little bit longer discussion, but at the end of the day, like I had A and B, and I was probably really leaning towards B anyway, the cleaning part of it, but
Hmm.
like I was like, well, let me see, because I like food and I like doing that stuff, and it seemed like a pretty easy model to get started. So let's see if that'll work. And then I didn't, like they said, basically they're like, nope, sorry. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's cleaning it is.
Yeah.
So I got started, and I started handing out flyers. I go up down the highway and going into insurance offices, dentist offices, any offices, anybody let me in the door. And I
Yeah.
didn't care if it said no soliciting. I would just say, I'm not selling you anything. I just want to know if it's dirty in here. Is it dirty in here? And then people would start laughing, and I
Yeah.
would have a conversation. And, normally I would take a flyer, and then they'd be nice and tell me to get on my way. But, I just kept going and kept going. And then these two opportunities came. And then from there, so I'm going to give you my first night because, in here, you sent me a couple, a couple questions, and one of them was like, what was one of the first struggles when you first opened? So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so I get this contract. So it's $130,000 a year contract, which is the most money I've ever seen in my entire life.
Nice.
There we go.
For the school. It's they're only open Monday through Friday. So I took over, and it was an odd time that I took over. So I took over like April because that's when the contract was up for some reason for our school. And I took over like April 1st. It was right after Easter, so I had the weekends, and then so I figured, okay, it will take four people plus myself to go through the school. It was going to be like a full time gig, like we were going to have full time like people were going to be there from like either 4 or 5 or 6 hours a night. It wasn't like we're going to have like 12 people and they're in and out in 2 hours. So
Right.
um, I hired my wife at the time, her aunt, who came from a large bank corporation cleaning, as like one of my supervisors and cleaners, and then we had put it out ads for cleaners, and I had like 8 people apply, 4 people 4 or 5 people said yes, and we had them fill out all the paperwork and blah blah blah. So we show up the first day, and we're supposed to start at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Start taking the trash out of the lower school, because this was like this went from Montessori all the way up to seniors. It was a small private school,
Yeah.
so they had 4 buildings, and so we get there at 2:30, and my ex-aunt-in-law and I are there. Like, all right, well, let's get started with trash, and as people show up, we'll get them started. We'll give them t-shirts, all that stuff. Um, an hour goes by, there's nobody at the front door. 2 hours go by, there's nobody at the front door. I looked at her, I go, oh shit, I guess it's gonna be me and you tonight.
Oh man.
She goes, all right, well, I'll go as long as I can, and I go, all right, me too.
Shorthanded and getting your hands dirty.
Right, already from day one, it was like, uh-oh. So
Yeah.
we lasted until almost 1 a.m. And we got 3/4 of the school cleaned. So the next morning, the maintenance guy calls me and he goes, "Hey buddy, you didn't finish the high school." And I go, "So yes, sir. So here's what happened. Nobody showed up but me and another person. We stayed till 1 a.m. and that was as far as I could go. I called the staffing agents today. They should have more people. I'll just subtract that off the bill, and we'll knock it out tonight. I'm sorry. I apologize." He goes, no, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure you didn't like miss it because you didn't know it was there. I'm like, nah, we're good. So then the next night, we had a full staff and we knocked it out. We were done by like 6 o'clock, and I still missed an area.
Big difference.
I still missed an area. There was like this hidden hallway that like you didn't know about. So he calls me the next morning and I go, "Hey, what's up, man?" I said, "Everything should be good, right?" He goes, "Well, you still missed this one hallway." And I'm like, "What now? I got everything, I swear to you." He goes, "Nah, you missed this one hallway." He goes, "Maybe I should have been a little more specific." So,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it was just, you never know until you put your hands on it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can plan for
Until you get into
under
it.
the sun, and there's always something that you're gonna miss. You know what I mean? And know it. Like, just know going into whatever it is. I don't care what you do. Like, you're gonna have the best perfect plan ever, but the unfortunate part is you've never done it, so it's not the best, most perfect plan. So
Hey, Sherm,
that.
got
Yeah.
a quick question for you, and it's on it's on topic. And you mentioned the people didn't show up. I think a common thing that I personally have experienced in businesses in the past, several decades ago, I actually owned a restaurant for a short time, and even back then and all the way up into today, to business owners I know that actually have staff, one of the most common things has been, and it seems like it always will be, is the human factor, meaning the human resources factor. Is it whether it's lack of work ethic, just not showing up, not wanting to do certain types of work. Don't even get me started on today's society with the younger generation. Is that been a common thing for you, or was that a one-time thing back then, and it's been hunky dory and cheery since then, or is that always a very common challenge for you?
No. I don't care what business you run. You can create the best culture you want. People are people, and perspective is perspective. You know what I mean? Like how someone sees something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I mean, look at it today. So like we do right now, we have a company that is buying lunch for everybody that's in the building to try to get people to come back to the building, and they still don't care. They don't come in. Like they just don't, they don't want to come back to work. They want to stay at home.
Oh, wow.
So,
So how do you overcome that? What do you do as a business owner?
How do you adapt to that?
So here's the lesson that I've learned over the 25 years. The lesson I learned is you're going to hire 25 people and you're going to keep 2 this year.
It's a numbers game. Know your metrics.
Ratio.
It's just, like you're going to pick, and I'm not saying 25 are quitting. I'm saying you're going to hire 25, and of the 25 that tell you great stories, that they're the best. I had one guy tell me he was a professional dishwasher, and I just smiled and I'm like, awesome. You're going to last about a week. and he lasted longer than that, and he was really good. But the point is, like, like you hire, when you go out and hire people, And again, it doesn't matter. They could be engineers. It's all the same shit. People are people, and their head is their head, and what's in their head is not coming out until they're ready for it to come out and be different. So you hire 25, and you're gonna out of the 25, you're gonna get two keepers. And keepers these are the people that believe in what you're doing, believe in you, are willing to work with you, stand in the trenches and fight the fight with you and fight the war. And that's what I always tell everybody. Like and that's the people. They're the people that you praise. They're the people that you reward. They're the people that have special circumstances. Because no matter what, they're gonna be there. They might bitch and complain a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're the workhorses. And then you just have the worker bees, the people that come and go and come and go and come and go. You know what I mean? And so every year you pick up, one or two really good people. And that's what I did, over in the cleaning business. I had it for 15 years. In the middle of it, I probably had 15 strong, really strong, no matter what. I could call them at one in the morning and go, hey, we have this job. I got to go do at 3. Are you ready to go? And they're like, yep, you just give me 20 minutes to get in the shower and come pick me up. All right, no problem. I'll be there.
Those are tough to find, aren't they?
They are. But what I'm saying is it's your 2 percenters, because you're hiring 50 people, and of the 50 people, you're going to find 2.5 that are going to be the ones that will ride, die, stand there and take a bullet for you. And the rest of them will they show up when they show up and they do what they do. And you kind of have to work that model in. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to have, standards. I'm not saying that there's not, qualifications and things like that. But,
right.
You have to understand that at the end of the day, the number one lesson that was constantly screamed at me as a business owner is they will never be you. You know what I mean? And they won't. I mean, after 25 years ago, no.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
They're right. I mean, they will never be me, and it's okay.
Right.
And I think
no one will care about your business more than you.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Well, there's people that care about your business, and it's
But
not
not to the
caring
extent,
about it
right? That's right.
It's just that at the end of the day, it's your business.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But
That's right.
so you got to find people that are only 2 or 3 degrees from you that care as much as you or similar to you, and they're the people that you put in charge. They're the people that run, because they're not going to leave a job. They're not going to walk out. They're not going to, when somebody says something crazy, they're not going to get you fired. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, okay, well, let me talk to the boss, and we'll work this out for you. Versus, the customer says something crazy, now your employee says something just as crazy, the equal as a reaction, and now you get a phone call from the customer going, you're fired. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So, but yeah, it's, that, the journey is all about learning. Yes, you have to love it, but the journey is about learning. I mean, the quicker you can learn people, the better off you'll be. I know when my staff I know when somebody
that's a great point
for me is getting ready to quit before they are. You know what I mean? Like that, they'll lie to you to your face that everything's good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, no problem.
But you can see the writing on the wall.
But you can see it. Like you can see their mannerism. You can see how they interact, how they talk, you could see that they're already checked out. They just haven't realized that they checked out yet. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, it's time to find somebody else. And I'll put an ad in the paper, and and we'll start doing some interviews. And I don't understand. And I'm like, yeah, you're gone. I mean, I'm not waiting for you to walk out on me on a Saturday morning when I need you.
Right.
You got to be kidding me. So
yeah, you as a business owner have to think ahead. You have to see what's coming and to be able to adapt and overcome along the way. And learning the human factor, it just sounds like that takes a long time. But also, it sounds like you've learned quite a bit along the way from just dealing with people, managing people, which is a lot of the hard, heavy lifting that a lot of business owners deal with nowadays. Of just not only hiring to begin with, but also keeping good people, as you mentioned. You hire 25, and maybe 2 are like your true, most loyal, will be there for you for anything, type of scenario. So, you mentioned a good point of. The quicker you learn, the better off you'll be. But in addition to learning about people and the people that you've hired and and brought up, in your businesses, what else would you share with your fellow military, veteran, first responder business owners whom are listening to this podcast? What other valuable advice would you pass along to them as a fellow business owner?
Man,
I know it's kind of open ended, but it's
it is. And, so here I'm gonna. I'm just gonna give you what I struggle with the most. when I was going through business, and I just actually posted the other day on Facebook, is that you got to get you together first.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from
Good point.
I came from a third generation militant family, and I'm gonna tell you that's half of 1% of the country. So when somebody tells you to do something, there was no like questioning. You did it. If you did it, you didn't half-ass do it. You did it all the way. And if you didn't, you had to redo it because your dad burnt your homework. He didn't rip it up in pieces. He took a lighter to it and like, no, you're not gonna. You don't know any of this shit anymore. You have to rewrite it again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So having that mindset, like the first couple years in business when I was the thing, I went through probably 150, 200 employees because once they started like testing, my will, I would just fire them. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even play with it. I mean,
Yeah.
to be completely honest, like there was no like even doubting what I said. You questioned me, see you, have a nice day. Get out. I had one guy from a temp agency tell me I couldn't fire him. I go, that's cool, but you're working for free because I ain't paying for it. So you can stick around as long as you'd like.
It almost sounds like you served in the military or something, Sherm.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're asking me, and it was like, I guess coming right out of the military, you still had that mindset that you had to listen and do everything that you were told to do. And the unfortunate part of the regular civilian population is that they are the complete opposite. Like they don't do anything they're told. They don't want to listen, don't listen, and don't try to listen. So you have to learn to speak better. Like first you have to figure out, well, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. So you have to change you, like as to be an effective leader, an effective communicator, and learn how to sell. The second thing is sell. I mean, everything we do as a business owner is selling. You're
That's
selling
right.
everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
So as sooner you can become the best salesperson that you have, you'll gain and retain great people. You'll gain and retain great customers. You'll gain and retain great vendors. You'll gain and retain a good community around you, because once you learn how to sell what you're trying to sell, and how you want it to look, then everybody will buy in. You know what I mean? Because nobody likes to be sold, but everybody wants to buy.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to, and it comes from you first, because whatever crap you're spewing out is what you get back. You know what I mean? Like, so if if your message isn't clear and good, then you're gonna get those people. Like I sat there, so I had already gone through the commercial cleaning company, and I opened up the catering business, and I was at a government center. I had the privilege and honor of, again, having a contract I had no business doing, and maintaining a cafeteria for a government center. And people call it luck, but I call it persistence. Like,
There you go. That's a great statement.
I would never take no for an answer. Like, I'm like, I can do this. I promise you I'll do it. I'll guarantee I'll do it. And I'll give you your money back if I don't. And they were like, what do I have to lose? I'm like, all right. So,
That's
all right,
awesome.
so we're good,
Yeah.
right? I start
He's
tomorrow.
personally insuring it.
Yeah. We start tomorrow, right? Yes, we'll start tomorrow. All right, great.
Yeah.
And then I go home and go, shit, I got no employees. I got no equipment. And I got no money.
And I'm going to figure it out. Baby.
Wait,
That's right.
What do I do now? Yeah.
And yeah. Well, you sit there and you go, you're on the ride home and you go, so you just did it to yourself again. You have no employees, you have no money, and you have no equipment. How are you going to open this cafeteria up in a week? And I'm like, we'll figure it out. I did it last time. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
I got the yes. Now's the rest of it.
I did the hardest part and get the yes. Now
That's
the
right.
rest of it should just fall in place.
I agree with that. Okay,
Yeah.
I got to jump in and ask you this. So, because this is kind of on the same topic, and that is, just imagine, as you well know, that you have, or that we all as a country have, individuals that are transitioning out of the military, in every given month, right? Sure. And then you also have some people that had served in the military, veteran or first responder, in the veteran or first responder, let's call it communities, who maybe they're at a point where they're considering, okay, again, I'm employed right now, or maybe I'm unemployed right now, and really giving serious consideration to entrepreneurship and opening their own business. So for those, let's call them aspiring entrepreneurs, whether they're transitioning out recently or whether they've been around for 5 or 10 years, whatever that may be. What advice would you give them specifically? If it was one of your buddies and you were sitting at, a coffee bar having a beer, all right, what are you going to tell them? They're like, man, Sherm, okay, man, I'm so sick of my job. I just can't do anymore. I'm not excited about it. I need to make a change. Or I'm transitioning out. Now I've got this bifurcated moment where do I go become an employee or do I open up my own business? What are you going to tell me when, over a beer, and what advice are you going to give me as a buddy?
Phew, man, this is a really tough one
Isn't it?
because
I
it
know.
is because I'm gonna give you the clinical answer, and then I'm gonna give you my answer. The clinical answer is that you stay working until your business does enough that you can transition, that you don't lose any money. That's the clinical answer. That's what all the gurus tell you, that you basically do your side hustle, your side gig, until it overpays or outpays the other. My problem with that is that you never become all in and may miss a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
I have always been an all in person. All in means that you're all in. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know that it's the right answer, but my answer would always be, so I just had a buddy that left a state job and he could have stayed there and he did it. And I told him, I said, so what do you have? Like, what's your plan to leave this easy, guaranteed money to come in and swim with the sharks? Because that's what you're doing. You're coming
Right.
in and swimming with the sharks.
That's right.
Yeah.
This isn't a kiddie pool where you have your floaties on and you can put your feet down and stand up. You're in the deepest ocean with the nastiest sharks. And all right, what is your plan to swim to shore when that comes? And that would be like, I'd have to listen to that. Like, I'd have to say, hey, and I would help them through it. Like, I'm not a person that's like, no, you can't do this. Anybody can do this. You have to have the wherewithal, you have to have the patience, and you have to have the determination that
Yes.
you want this.
Right.
And those
Yeah.
three things are tough. It's not easy to have the determination, because you look at, I have a family and kids, or I have a wife, or I have a lifestyle, or I want, I don't want to really work. Well, if you don't want to work, this ain't the job for you.
Isn't that the
So,
truth?
Yeah.
the other cliche to being a business owner is that you left a 40-hour a week job just to say F you to the person, and you work 120 hours a week now. like,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and
That's
I'm
perspective.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that it is. Like, I've lost wives, I've lost girlfriends, because you're doing this 24 hours a day. Like, there's, I go out to eat and everybody knows me. I go out to places in the public, like I'm a C-class celebrity in Delaware. Like like everybody knows who I am. So when
Yeah.
you go out, you're dating someone, like she's dating me and everyone else that knows me. Like, it's not just me.
Do they call you Shermanator in your
they-
C class? Okay, I just had to
they,
ask
they,
that.
they call me Sherm. Some people call me a whole bunch of other different things, but at the end of the day, like this is there's a lot of great stuff on the internet, and there's a lot of bad stuff on the internet about being self-employed. You know what I mean? And my first kind of lesson to anyone that wants to do this, that this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, and you're going to put the most hours in you've ever put into something. But just remember that all that goes back to you. So if you're willing to do that, put the time in, put the energy in, give shit up, because you got to give up everything. You're giving up your kids, your wife, your family, your lifestyle, for a period of time. If you're willing to do that, to get everything up and running, then once it starts working itself out, you'll have 10 times the family, the lifestyle, the things that you want on the back end. But you got to give up some of it in the beginning, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
For most people.
Sacrifices in the beginning for greater rewards in the long run.
Yeah, and it is, but it's, you have to understand, you have to do, there's no half doing it. Like, because half doing it means you're not somewhere where you're supposed to be, where you would have got that introduction to the thing that you needed 3 more steps to. You're playing chess. You know what I mean? Like, one move doesn't equal a win. You know that it takes 32 moves to get to the queen, and if you're taking the steps slowly, then it's going to take an hour. If you take the steps quickly, because you know how to play fast, it could take 15 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so it's up to you as to how fast you get there, but you have to put all the work in. There's no sidestep. There's no get rich quick scheme. There's not. And after 25 years, I promise you, I've tried everything. When I was younger, selling Cutco knives, NSA water filters, all that crap. There's no get quick rich scheme. It's
Yeah,
put in the
however
work.
it's said.
Yeah, whatever it is. I can't even say it. That's the
Get rich quick. Yeah.
yeah, get rich quick.
There we go.
I can't even say it because it's not even something that I believe. Like you got to put the work in, and when you put the work in, you'll be rewarded. I promise. And it's not a one for one reward. It's not a 1-for-1 reward. If you put 120 hours a week in, it's not going to equal 120 hours worth of pay. You may put 120 hours in and get pay for 20 hours, but you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and after
builds
6
up.
months, it'll build up. And
That's
then
right.
then it turns around, and next thing you know, you're working 2 hours to get paid for 120 hours. You know what I mean? And then you're like, wow, this really, after 25 years, I could say that I have a pretty good life. You know what I mean? Like I still work. I still go in. I still, I was at the wedding on Saturday when it was pouring down rain, and everybody looked at me like, I can't believe we're having this wedding. I can't believe we have to work in the rain.
But catering's got to show up anyway.
Right. I'm like, sorry, but here we are. And I was right there in the mud, slopping through the mud, soaking wet, bringing things in and out. And,
yeah.
It still happens. But at the end of the day, I play golf 3 times a week. I go on vacation 4 times a year. I have a nice car. I have a nice house. I do nice things.
So your determination is now paying off in rewards of a good quality of life. And even though it was hard work and a lot of upfront stuff, you can now personally attest that on the other side of that, it's that inverse relationship where you have to put a whole lot more than you get back in the beginning. Once you get to some point on the other side of that, if you stay with it, if you stay disciplined, if you stay committed, then that actually starts kind of flipping around in an inverse way. And now those continued efforts get you a quality of life for you, your family, the people that you love around you, and then you can actually enjoy life in that a little more work-life balance and enjoying those things. Fair statement?
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, that was your educated definition, and I gave you the real life, Sherm's entrepreneur. Right. Work hard.
Absolutely. No, that's great.
That's and that's what it is. Yeah, absolutely. It's just there's no magic pill. There's no magic wand. There's no magic decision. I make decisions every single day on, like how do we make this better? In the kitchen, or in our office, we have this formula. It's like, okay, so did everything work? Yes or no? If it's yes, all right, keep doing it. If it's no, then the next question is what didn't work and why? And then the next question is how do we fix it? And then the next question is, all right, let's test it. And then the next question is, did it work? And if it's yes, then all right, keep doing it. And that's how you should work every day.
Every day.
You, your family.
That's great advice.
Partner, that's what you do every day.
Yeah.
And that's how you get better every day. It's not, you don't take big chunks. This isn't like use a stick of C4 and blow up half the mountain and now I only have half the mountain left. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how life works. You take one step every day. Did it work? Is it working? If it's not working, let's fix it, and let's adjust. Mm-hmm. Because there's no perfect plan. Like every day you have to adjust, and it could have worked great for 6 months, and now all of a sudden a customer calls and screams because it's not working. You're like, what do you mean? It's been working for 6 months. Well, why isn't it working? How did it work today? And maybe now it's adjusted. Now the process has to adjust because now the way we do things isn't, now maybe you have 15 people instead of 3. Well, now you have 12 more people that have to make sure that they understand this process. And maybe we didn't understand it or we didn't explain it properly. So now we have to go back and re-educate the other 12 people or the new people.
Yeah.
Make sure that, because you're like, wait, I don't understand. Like you do this, I do it all the time. Like, how do we come back to this? Why am I saying make sure you bring tongs? Like, why am I, like, why am I saying make sure? How come somebody didn't ask a question? Are there tongs in the box? Like, I don't understand. Like,
we had mentioned it earlier. It's the human factor, right?
Right. Sure. And that human factor will get you every time. But
it'll get you.
It's just it's a daily process that equals large results. Like I always go back to the Navy reference because it never seems to fail me. So if you're sailing a ship, and that's what I used to do as an OS, is we would navigate the ship from the inside. If you're sailing a ship and you're off by 1 degree, in 2 days you're in a different continent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's a great analogy.
You only need to change by 1 degree. Like, you don't need to go, all hands to the left 180 degrees and throw half the ship off. You got everybody man overboard on the right-hand side of the ship. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Just 1 degree.
Little
changes
adjustments.
The whole course for, forever. You know what I mean? And, if you change 1 degree every day, that's 365 degrees you've changed in a year.
Yeah.
Like it's, you don't have to make big movements, but you have to make movements.
Yeah.
You can't stand still and think things are going to change.
Good
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, great advice there. That's awesome. Well, as we come to a close here for this particular episode, Sherm, how can people find out more about your business, your catering business, anything else you'd like to plug at this time?
Sure. So the catering business is kind of tough. We're local, so that may not be too many people that hear this in a national range. But we're it's shermscatering.com. It's www.shermscatering.com. I also do some business coaching, and I'm always here to help people. You can reach me at Sherm at destination-success.com, and that's my coaching company. I also have a book that was that I wrote. I told you we would go way past 20 minutes, and
It's all good.
Man, it's been valuable wisdom here.
I know, but we didn't even get into anything. But it's called Destination Success, the 8 mindset hacks that every entrepreneur should know. That's on Amazon. It's $9, $10. It gives 8 systems. That's the 8 hacks. Like there's 8 things that you should always be paying attention to as an entrepreneur, doing things. Other than that, my mobile number, if you want to text me, don't call me, is 302-293-8568. Like, I'm here to help people. I don't mind helping. We can also, if you have a quick question, text me like, hey, I'm thinking about this, or we can get set up with coaching and mentoring. If you don't choose me, choose somebody. You gotta have a mentor. You gotta have somebody that's gonna help you make the tough decisions.
That's right.
Yeah,
totally agree with that.
In a time, there's tons of mentors out there. If we happen to not hit it off, which is possible, we're people. Not everybody gets along with the other. I can ship you. I'm in a national networking, business coaching group that I can get you. So there's somebody in your neighborhood that I can get you a coach in your neighborhood, where maybe if you want somebody that's one-on-one, face-to-face, that's fine. But most things you don't need. But yeah, you got to get somebody to help you with these decisions, help you get your systems in place, help you stay on track. No different than if you were in a gym and you're trying to be a bodybuilder or a weightlifter. Like you need somebody that's going to keep you accountable.
That's right.
Especially in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like I know, like, but I don't have any money. Well, put it on your charge card. You know what I mean? Like you'll pay it off eventually. Don't worry about it. But you got to get somebody that's going to keep you accountable and keep you moving forward, because there's going to be a day where you say, I don't want to do it. And that's the day you got to get it done. You know what I mean? Like you got to have somebody pushing you saying, hey, did you do your stuff today? You know what I mean? Because, it's no different than me getting out and working out every day. I should have a coach for that, but I seem to not even like the coaches anymore. But I need to get out and do it every day. I do my work and
That's
I do
all
everything
good.
else. I just don't do my exercise.
Yeah.
But,
No.
but that's that's how to get a hold of me. I appreciate you guys. I'll give you the links. You can put them down here with this.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll include those links in the description below for this podcast. So, Sherm, thank you for sharing all of those things, and it has been an honor and privilege talking with you today. We learned some valuable wisdom, and I hope everyone listening, took out a lot of nuggets of wisdom from this episode here. So, Sherm, once again, thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for sharing all that you did today with your fellow military, veteran, and first responder business owners.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sherm. Have a fantastic week.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Yes,
Absolutely. Man, that was a great talk with Sherm. I very, very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. He's
That
a
surely
cool cat.
was.
Yeah, good information.
Lots of nuggets of wisdom and some great things that he passed along. So, wanted to take a couple minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, just to do a quick recap of some of the highlights, or at least some of the things that I wrote down that really stuck out to me. And the first one was, the quicker you learn people, the better off you'll be. I just thought how applicable is that? Not just in business, but in life, of knowing how to communicate with others effectively, how to listen to others, with intent, and, how much that applies, especially in a business setting when you're trying to manage people and manage employees, as staff, and being able to communicate, clear expectations and goals for the team and whatever mission that you're on. I thought that was really cool.
It is cool, and that's both for acquiring customers and when you're talking and doing business development and reading people, and also for staff, knowing when to hold them and when to fold them. I mean, it's your business, your name's on the line, and you just got to make tough decisions like that sometimes if you have to let people go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the second thing that stuck out to me was Sherm said, people call it luck, I call it persistence. I just thought that was a really unique way of saying how it's the success that you see comes from persistent effort, even if it's little steps that you take each day, and that it's not necessarily attributed to luck, it's attributed to just persistent effort over time.
Absolutely. I called that paths of opportunity revealed for many, many years now. And that simply means when you just keep networking, keep talking to people, keep selling, keep pushing forward. And if you put things in motion constantly, you never know who you run across, what person, you meet, or that person you met, they have someone, that 6 degrees of separation. And all of a sudden that leads to some opportunity for, in business or some key contact. So consistency wins the race.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And there was a third thing that I wrote down here, and I'm actually curious to get your take on this because it certainly raised my eyebrow, and I'm sure raised a couple of eyebrows for those listening, which was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said giving up a kid's wife, family in the short term brings for more rewards in the long term, and that definitely raised my eyebrow. But what did you think about that particular statement?
Yeah, I can see where people could take that and raise their eyebrows. And I think really at the heart of what he's saying, and the spirit of that is, you're going to give up, you're going to have some sacrifices when you start a business, and it's going to take a lot of hours, a lot of work, a lot of mental capacity, time. And I think the key to that, this is just my adding my 2 cents to what Sherm was saying, which is, I think, communicate with your family. If you're married, you have children, the people that you're going to be at home whenever you are finished for work every day, communicate that with them. Make it a team effort. Bring them all in and say, hey, family, this is what I'm going to do. Are you in? And I think this is what it's going to get us. This is what I'm trying to achieve, and the financial, freedom for our family. Explain the goals, but then explain the sacrifices and try to get them, really bought into that vision and that realizing that you're going to have a lot of hard work, and they have some sacrifice in that, knowing that, you're going to be just busy a lot and trying to balance that out. And hopefully that you have an understanding family.
Yeah, that's a unique take, and I think you pointed out it's the heart and spirit of it, and I caught that drift too. But it was, but I'm sure that's going to be unique for a lot of business owners trying to start their business and get it to a place of success.
Mm-hmm.
So, lastly, he mentioned the sailing a ship analogy, that when you're off by 1 degree, and if you're off by 1 degree on the path that you're on, you could be in a totally different continent in a day or two. That it's little efforts done over time that could take you to a totally different destination, either to a place of success or a failure. But again, he was saying don't do anything super crazy all at once. You don't want to totally capsize the ship. But make little efforts over time to get where you want to go.
Yeah, and I think the flip side of that is, the old saying goes, the best definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect to get different results. And you can't do that. So I think he was trying to drive home that point that you always have to be assessing your activities, your people, your marketing strategy, everything about your business, and be ready and able to pivot and be ready to do that. And that can be on a daily basis. It can be on a weekly basis, but constantly be looking at where can I improve, on the things that are driving my business forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a quick recap of a few of the main highlights, at least that stuck out to me, and I know stuck out to you. So for everybody listening, please subscribe to our channel, the Warriors in Business Podcast, through Apple or Spotify or Google Podcast. You can also go to warriorsinbusiness.com and sign up for our mailing list to get regular updates on the podcast. For military, veteran, first responder business owners, be sure and reserve your free business listing at joinbravery.com. That's join, BRAVARI.com, to reserve your free business listing on the Bravery online marketplace. And of course, for everybody else, please go to the same website, joinbravery.com, and please join the Bravery community to get regular updates on this incredible mission we are on to elevate and promote military, veteran, and first responder businesses. So thanks once again for listening to this episode of the Warriors in Business Podcast. And until next time, God bless, and y'all be good.
Take care.
I won't be